Hey everyone, and welcome. Recently there's been a lot of changes to the jungle, and many players are finding themselves struggling and not carrying games as much as they'd like to. In this guide, you're going to learn the 10 rules all junglers should follow in the new meta to start carrying and winning your games, so let's get into it. Rule 1. Use the ward trick. For those of you who don't know, there's a ward trick that's become extremely popular where you place your trinket ward around the 50-second mark and then recall, purchase a sweeping lens, and head to your first buff. The benefit of doing this is that your sweeping lens you just swapped to will come off cooldown at the 2-minute and 20-second mark. This will allow you to sweep for wards when you're level 3, have double buffs, and are looking to gank. At the same time, you'll still get early vision down to track the enemy jungler. When you're on the blue team, you want to place your early trinket ward on the enemy's raptors. This is extremely beneficial. If the enemy starts at their red buff, you'll be able to see whether they're doing raptors after their red, or if they skip them to immediately go to their blue. And if they don't show in the ward at all, it indicates they move to their KRUGS after their red. The raptor ward lets you know the exact route the enemy is going to take. However, if you're on the red team, it can be risky to place a raptor ward as the enemy team often stacks near the entrance at the ramp to watch for invades. This is why it's recommended to place your ward in the top pixel brush when on the red team. It's not as valuable, but it's much safer. Before we get into the next one, I quickly want to make sure you know where these guides come from. There's a reason our guides are more impactful and stand out compared to everything else out there. A huge team comes together to make all this happen. Please consider supporting us at skillcapped.com, where we release 12 new guides every single week. Rule 2. Almost always start at your red and take your KRUGS second. After the nerfs to jungle experience, many junglers are finding it difficult to keep up in levels. We recently made a table listing the experience and gold that each camp gives. When analyzing it, you'll find that the KRUGS give by far the most experience and gold, with raptors coming in second. This means that camps on the side of your red buff are far more valuable than the wolves and gromp that are found on the side of your blue buff. However, this is only one part of the picture. There are two other hidden mechanics that make KRUGS even more valuable. First is that the ancient KRUG has a debuff that will give 30% less experience the first time you kill it. By killing the KRUGS early, you remove that debuff from it the next time it spawns, making it worth even more experience. Secondly, camps will give more experience based on their level. Their level is determined when they spawn and is based on the average level of everyone in the game. So by killing KRUGS early, the most valuable camp in terms of experience and gold will not only remove that 30% debuff the next time it spawns, but it will also respawn at a higher level, giving even more experience to you. Now, many of you are probably wondering, is there ever a situation where I would want to start at my blue? And there actually is. To understand why, you first need to understand that in the new jungle meta, the majority of the time the jungler will be ganking the opposite side that they started on. For example, if we start red as Kindred, then it means we'll be farming towards our blue side jungle, and be ganking bot early on. However, sometimes there's a key matchup that you want to influence early on that doesn't align with starting at your red. For example, let's say you had a super passive bot lane like Ezreal and Soraka, not exactly champions that can help set up a gank for you. In top lane though, you had Jax against Riven, a volatile matchup that can snowball out of control for either player. You could choose to start at your blue instead, so that you would path towards the top side of the map to apply early ganks to this lane. Rule 3. Track where the enemy jungler started. Doing this is extremely simple, but is more important than ever in the current meta. To do this, check the side lanes while you're killing your first buff. In this case, Kled shows top early, while the enemy bot lane is missing. This indicates that the enemy Rengar is getting a leash at his red. Remember, junglers will most likely be ganking the opposite side that they started on. By knowing that Rengar started at his red, we can immediately know he'll apply his first gank top. This gank typically hits around the 3-minute to 4-minute mark. This can let us backping our teammates around this time and let them know that the enemy jungler is on that side of the map and looking to gank. Additionally, by scouting where the enemy jungler started, you can find out if they are starting on the same side as you. It's extremely important to be aware of when the enemy jungler starts on the same side as you, since it means you're in a race towards the opposite side of the map. We covered this concept in detail in a recent guide titled How to Jungle After the Scuttle Changes. Check it out to learn more. The basic ideas though are that you want to rush to the opposite side as fast as you can to be in position to gank or counter gank that lane. The reason for this is that often the jungler who has lane priority in that side lane will be able to take the nearby scuttle as it spawns. This can open up a really strong tactic where you transition gank mid after taking the scuttle to then secure lane priority there and take a second scuttle away from the enemy jungler on the other side. By knowing where the enemy jungler started, you'll be able to both track them while also using the most optimal pathing for yourself. Rule 4. Check the state of the lanes with your camera. It's not enough to only be looking at the minimap, you need to physically move your camera and check the lanes. You want to be looking for the health and mana of everyone in the lane while also checking the state of the minions. For example, we've already applied the first 3 rules. We first used the ward trick, we then started red and did our KRUGS next. And we tracked the enemy jungler and saw that the enemy Rengar started out as red. After doing our KRUGS, it's natural to take our raptors next as we transition to our blue side. However, by checking the state of the lanes, we can see bot lane took a big trade that put the enemy Morgana low on health. Additionally, we can see that the enemy minions are pushing towards our side of the map, meaning the enemy will be pushed up the lane and vulnerable to a gank. It's for these reasons we now know to skip our raptors and go straight for our blue. Since we did KRUGS in our opening route, which gives so much experience, we can hit level 3 off of 3 camps instead of the usual 4. So we're now level 3 with double buffs in position to gank bot as the wave crashes into the tower. This allows us to pick up 2 kills on the enemy bot lane that we never would have if we didn't learn about the 4 rules you just learned. Rule 5. Soak minion experience. After the successful gank, we don't immediately leave to take the nearby scuttle. Instead, we stay to help push and soak lane experience. First, by helping push with your teammates, it actually benefits them. Even though the enemy bot lane died, which is good for us, it also gives them the opportunity to purchase items and come back to lane with an item advantage. We can also see our bot lane is low on health and mana. By helping them push, we let them recall faster, denying minions from the enemy to their tower, while letting our teammates get back to lane faster. Secondly, it gives us lane experience, which is so important after the XP nerfs to jungle. Minions actually give a flat amount of experience, meaning they don't scale and give more XP later on in the game. This means they're unbelievably valuable early on. To put this in perspective, a single minion wave without a siege minion is worth 264 experience. That's about the same as a KRUG camp and 50% more valuable than any other camp. That's not all. If the minion wave has a siege minion in it, then it's worth 356 experience. That's insane, as it's actually worth more than 2 of our jungle camps. Even though we'll often have to share this experience with our laners, it still averages out to be worth around 1 of our jungle camps. Soaking minion experience off successful early ganks is the secret trick high-level players use to snowball any early leads they get into dominating victories. Rule 6. Play around the 4-minute and 40-second timing. 4 minutes and 40 seconds should be a new timing that's ingrained into your brain. This is when the first small camp you killed will respawn. For example, in this game, we did red and then KRUGS, so KRUGS was the first small camp we killed. This means our KRUGS will respawn at around 4 minutes and 40 seconds. If we jump back to our current position, we can see it's 3 minutes and 20 seconds. We don't need to recall and head to the top side of the map, as our KRUGS won't have respawned yet. Instead, we take the nearby scuttle. After killing it, it's 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Our KRUG respawn is a minute away, so again, we still don't need to recall. This is how we know it's the correct choice to farm our Gromp and our wolves. After which, we can see that the 4 minute and 40 second mark when our KRUGS will respawn is around 20 seconds away. We finish our recall, buy items, and head to our KRUGS, getting there as they've spawned, now a higher level, giving more experience, and without that ancient KRUG 30% debuff we mentioned earlier. Killing this second KRUG rotation at 4 minutes and 40 seconds is what's going to let you keep up with an experience with laners after the jungle nerfs. Rule 7. Repeat gank on the lane without summoner spells. It's around at this point of the game that many players will struggle to know what to do and how to form a game plan. Remember, our earlier gank got our bot lane ahead and got all of the enemy summoner spells except Morgana's flash. We still have to farm our KRUGS at the 4 minute and 40 second timing, following Rule 6, but we'll now pass towards the bot side of the map and look to land a repeat gank on the enemy bot lane. This concept of repeat ganking lanes without summoner spells makes for a simple yet extremely successful and powerful game plan for you to execute. However, as many of you may be thinking, this makes it so that we can't apply pressure or gank any other lanes. That would be the case if we didn't have Rule 8, quickly gank off your side camp before you transition to the other side of the map. In this game, we already know we're going to want to path towards bot side to repeat gank the lane without summoner spells. However, our KRUGS are very close to the top side of the map, after we leave our KRUGS, we'll be too far away to pressure top for a very long period of time. What we can do is apply a gank to top lane right after we do our KRUGS. It's close by, so it's efficient in terms of our pathing. Additionally, we can use our sweeping lens or a pink ward to clear vision as we gank. As we can see, this is a very small time investment to gank top, but we apply pressure and clear their vision. Now we leave to farm and path towards the bot side of the map, but Kled is now left without vision and has to play safe as he's scared we would gank him again since he lacks vision, even though we have no intention to do so. This is an extremely powerful tactic to use in conjunction with the repeat gank strategy, as you can give the illusion that you're ganking the entire map, even though you're actually farming all of your camps and really only focusing the lane with the highest chance of a successful gank. Rule 9. Full clear while your ultimate is on cooldown. So you're following all of the rules, you repeat gank that bot lane, and have to use your ultimate in the process. What do you do next? Many junglers can be significantly weaker without their ultimate, both in terms of fighting power, but also the efficacy of their ganks. Champions like Vi, Amumu, Sejuani, Kindred, Nocturne, and many more are significantly weaker without their ults. Some champions don't have this problem, like Elise or Nidalee, but they are the exception to the rule. In this case, even though we got summoner spells in the gank, if we head straight back bot, it's very risky as we don't have our ultimate to protect ourselves. We could easily be focused and bursted down, especially if Rengar counter-ganked us. Instead, by full clearing and then ganking when your ultimate is up, it can make all the difference, allowing you to win a fight that you'd otherwise lose, and it's these key moments that often decide the outcome of a game. And finally, Rule 10. Mute everyone. Climbing the ladder as a jungler is far more mentally taxing than any other role. You will be blamed by your teammates in nearly every single game. This isn't just about preventing yourself and your teammates from being tilted by avoiding arguments. It's also to avoid being pressured by laners to make suboptimal jungle decisions. Tell me if this doesn't sound familiar. You're doing perfectly fine in the game, but your top laner has died twice. He's spam pinging you and telling you to gank his lane and how free of a kill it is. You make the mistake of listening to him, go to gank, but ganking a losing lane is usually a bad idea. And the enemy turns the gank around, killing you both. Your teammate says, GG jungle difference, and you're tilted out of your mind. There are two chat commands all junglers should have memorized. The first is /mute all, which will mute what everyone is saying. And the second is /full mute all, which will mute both what players are saying along with their pings. If a teammate pings you, mute them. If a teammate says something remotely negative, mute them. If a teammate's character so much as looks at you wrong while you're standing in the fountain together, mute them. Jungling is more about decision making than it is mechanics. You have to protect your sanity at all costs, as it's your critical thinking and decision making that will let you climb the ladder. Alright, we went over a lot, so let's briefly recap. Rule 1 was to use the ward trick. Place your trinket ward at the 50-second mark, recall, swap to a sweeping lens, and head to your first buff. Rule 2 was to start at your red and do your KRUGS next. KRUGS gives the most experience and gold of any camp. By killing KRUGS early, we remove the 30% debuff from the ancient KRUG on its next spawn, and will get them to respawn earlier at a higher level, giving us the experience boost we need after the jungle nerfs. Rule 3 was to track where the enemy jungler started. Junglers will often gank the opposite side that they started on. By knowing where the enemy jungler started, we can inform our teammates of where he's going to be ganking. Additionally, we can scout out if they're starting on the same side as us, which means we're in a race to the other side of the map. Rule 4 was to check the state of the lanes with your camera. By doing this, you check everyone's health, mana, and which direction the lane is pushing. This informed us to skip our raptors and go straight to our blue, to hit a super fast level 3 gank on bot lane. Rule 5. Soak minion experience. Minions give a flat amount of experience, which is extremely high in the early game. The trick to snowballing is to soak minion experience after kills. By pushing, do we not only achieve this, but we also give our teammates a faster recall and deny the enemy laners minions to their tower. Rule 6. Play around the 4-minute and 40-second timing. This is when your first small camp will respawn, which will likely be your KRUGS. By killing this as it respawns, you'll be farming extremely efficiently and help you keep up in levels with the laners after the jungle nerfs. Rule 7. Repeat gank the lane without summoner spells. When a lane has their summoner spells on cooldown, specifically their flash, you want to focus on landing a gank on them before they come back up. Rule 8. Quickly gank off your side camp before you transition to the other side of the map. Since you often want to focus your attention on the lane without summoner spells, it prevents you from being able to apply pressure to the rest of the map. To remedy this, you can use the tactic of applying a quick gank off your side camp. Since you're already in the area, it's efficient with your time, and by clearing their wards, it can cause them to have to play safe. You're essentially applying pressure to the lane without even being there. Rule 9, full clear while your ultimate is on cooldown. As a jungler, you often rely on your ultimate to not only make ganks work, but also to win the ensuing fights. A simple rule to follow is to clear your jungle while it's on cooldown, and then look to gank when it's up. And lastly, Rule 10, mute everyone. You have to prevent yourself from tilting, as decision making is the most important skill we have as junglers. So how many of these rules did you know about and currently follow? Let us know in the comments section below, as well as any questions you might have. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to keep up to date with the meta and learn more. In the meantime, check out some of our other guides, which I know you'll love. As always, good luck and have fun on Summoner's Rift.